What's up, everyone, and welcome back to The Fast Life and 2024. In today's video, I want to take a quick dive into a few key experiences that are setting the tone for my 2024. If you've been following along on the vlog or the Fast Life podcast, then I'm sure you caught wind of the FXR Tour. The FXR Tour was an event that was put together by my friend Justin, who goes by My Machinist on Instagram, and myself, and the concept was about building FXRs amongst other guys, meeting them in one spot, and then riding them 1,000 miles to what ended up being Born Free, Texas. Early on, the FXR Tour gave me the kick in the ass I have been needing to finally start making YouTube videos. I can't even count how many GoPros I bought over the years with the intention of trying to start a vlog, or at least capture some video around the shop. So in 2023, I was able to get over whatever that roadblock was and put out 12 vlog style videos, a lot of which were tagging along on the experiences of building the FXR. And in those videos, I tried a lot of different types of videoing, editing, narrating, all in the attempts of trying to figure out what my style of video was going to be in this space. As you can see here, this is a much different look than what we've done in the last videos, and if you like it, please let me know down in the comments. I actually dig it. I think it looks cool. It fits, I think, the vibe that I kind of want to put out. So yeah, let me know, and maybe this will be the look. The other important takeaway from the FXR Tour for me was the newfound desire to want to learn to fabricate. I was fortunate to be able to spend a lot of time around Corey from Main Drive Cycle, and seeing how he went about doing the chop on the FXR, I knew I was gonna get bit by the bug and wanting to go down this rabbit hole of learning how to fabricate, weld, and all that. Over the holidays, I sold a handful of unused photography equipment that I had acquired over the years. I picked up an Everlast 210 EXT through a lot of you guys' recommendations off one of the videos that we had put out. And with me basically just wanting to make a couple exhaust systems and eventually get to the point of chopping and doing what Corey did for me on my FXR, I kind of want to do that myself. I think the 210 EXT from Everlast is going to be more than enough for what I plan to do with it. After borrowing my good friend Hazmat Design's Miller Syncrowave 200 welder to do my exhaust system, I found that I lacked a lot of other tools in the shop to make the process more clean and more proficient, if you will. So I ended up grabbing a clutch bandsaw from Northern Tool to get me some cleaner cuts on the exhaust tubes, and a multi-tool grinder, I believe is what it's called. They have this sanding situation that goes on there so that basically you can get the exhaust pipes and get a really nice finish on them. To me, that's going to make the biggest difference. I'm really excited to pursue this new skill and looking forward to hopefully sharing a lot of that growth and the processes on YouTube videos with you guys here on this channel. So on Christmas Day, my wife Britta and I were kind of lounging around the house talking about maybe things we wanted to try to do in 2024, and we came up with the last minute idea to head out on a road trip to the West Coast on January 1st. With her being from Southern California originally and having a lot of her family still reside there, and me having so many friends between Texas and California, we felt like it'd be a good chance to get away, hang out with some friends. I could do some podcasts, she could see some family, and we can visit some really beautiful places in America. So on the first day of our trip, we left Dallas and made it up to Albuquerque, New Mexico to hang out with Scott and his wife. Scott is the guy that helped me out in the middle of New Mexico when my bike took a shit on the way to Durango, where we were kicking off the FXR Tour. I heard a lot of his stories and got so enamored with wanting to share it on the podcast. So our first stop of this trip was to go see him, record an episode before we headed on for more adventures. As we continued more west and north, We stopped through Monument Valley. If you guys listen to the podcast, you know I love that place so much, and I wanted to show my wife. She'd never been there before. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to ride my bike through a lot of these places, and you travel a lot, you'll realize at some point that you want to share some of these beautiful, inspiring places that you get to see. You want to be there with your wife or best friends or kids. In this case, I wanted my wife to know why I love these places so much. I will say that driving through them versus riding through them, it's not quite as good, but you know, you're seeing through the photography that we took on this trip how cool it was. We spent a night in Salt Lake City with our good buddy Saxon and his old lady Shannon. Sax obviously used to work here at the Fast Life Garage. He has since moved to Salt Lake City. He is a video creator. He's actually the one doing our FXR Tour documentary. I got to see some of that while I was there. It's absolutely badass. It's gonna be amazing when it comes out. They took us to have some sushi in Salt Lake. Straight up, like, you wouldn't think this, but honestly the best sushi I've ever had in my life, in a landlocked city at that. My wife and I continued heading northwest from Salt Lake. We ended up making it to White Salmon, Washington, which is on the border of Washington and Oregon. In White Salmon, Washington is Bruce, and Bruce was in our last video riding my Lowrider ST. I really like spending time with Bruce, and every time we get together, we kind of inspire each other, if you will. Bruce took us out, we did a little bit of hiking, we found a really dope waterfall, took some pictures at it. Overall, just had a great couple of days. This was kind of the vacation part of this trip for us. My wife had never been to the Northwest, and I had a feeling it would be a good way for us to be surrounded by nature and good food and good conversations. After a couple nights with Bruce in Washington, we drove to the coast in Astoria and started making our way down the Pacific coastline. The entire time we were up in the Northwest, it was raining off and on, and it was no different on the coastline. We did get the opportunity to get out to some of the cool, more scenic beaches, take some photos in between rain showers. On this trip, I brought my Canon AE1 film camera and the Canon R5, which I'm filming with now, in hopes to kind of practice some different types of photography that I am not really good at, like landscapes and capturing more environmental type stuff. So this was kind of a way for me to work on some of the things that I wanted to get better at as well. The breaks in the storms made for some very awesome cloud formations, light peeking through. It was a great time to be able to shoot in some of these conditions, and I think my wife really enjoyed some of the views that the Oregon coastline offers. It's a much different look than the California coastline, so if you haven't had a chance to go ride it or at least drive it, I highly recommend you guys making your way up to the Oregon coast. It's badass. Once we crossed into Northern California, one of the first and must-go-to spots is the Avenue of the Giants. It's a very narrow road that literally winds in and out of these massive, massive redwoods. And once again, my wife hadn't seen them before, and I wanted to kind of facilitate this experience for her. I got to ride it a couple years ago, and it's wild being there. They're massive. To put the size in perspective, you know, we shot a couple photos, and I don't know, it's just dope. If you live up that way, you're just surrounded by humbling things like this. By the time we got to the Bay Area, it was time to go to work. I stopped in to see Taylor Schultz, who is an amazing custom painter and a great friend of mine. He runs Schultz Designs out of the, I think, Santa Rosa area. It was awesome to see his workspace and see how he sets up his area to create the art that he makes. And after we got done there, I was headed straight to Oakland to finally meet and sit down with Scott Williams, who is the man behind the Frisco FXR chopper. There was a huge inspiration on my FXR chopper. Being at the fabrication shop he's in the Oakland area, I got to shoot a lot of really dope photos of his bike and him, and that was kind of surreal to be able to shoot a bike that's been so inspiring to me over the years. We made it down to Southern California to my wife's aunt's house in Venice Beach, where we would be staying for the rest of the time on this trip. She got to spend some time with her family in the SoCal area. I got to get out and go do podcasts with some old friends and some builders that I'm hugely inspired by. As our time on the road was starting to come to an end and we were starting to head back east, I had one more opportunity to go sit down with somebody that's been probably the biggest inspiration for me in 2023, Todd Bluebaugh. Todd is an amazing photographer, a great writer, and he has a killer podcast. He lives in a part of Southern California that I hadn't had a chance to ride yet, in the Yucca Valley, Joshua Tree area. Getting to sit down and talk with him was truly the icing on the cake for this trip. His book, Too Far Gone, has been a huge inspiration, and it's got me on a path for this year, and it all started by reading a book that he made almost 10 years ago. So being able to sit down with somebody who has been such an inspiration was an honor. The point of this road trip for my wife and I was to surround ourselves with friends and family and inspiring places in hopes to set the tone for what we hope 2024 will play out as. So what's in store for 2024? For starters, I have a few video projects in the works, and now with my homie Devin helping me out around the shop, filming and getting these things captured, I should be able to get a lot of these ideas out of my head and then hopefully onto your phones and TVs that you watch this at. The FXR Tour 2 is happening. All the builders are picked, and Sax, as I said before, is almost done with the documentary. It's really gonna put you in your feels if you were on the tour and really show you what it was about, I think. I hope. Sax is doing an amazing job, and I'm straight up blown away by how much he's grown his video skills, his photography skills in the last couple of years since he first picked up a camera. The FXR chop is gonna be on display at Mama Tried, February 24th and 25th, I believe. I had such a blast a couple years ago when I went. So honored to be able to put the bike in there. Man, I can't wait to get back up there. It's gonna be a good time. And hopefully I'll see you guys there. If you do come, I'll probably be hanging out at the Simpson Motorcycle Helmets booth a lot. So come by, say hi. That's gonna be a good time. So you should go. And then for the Fast Life Camp Out 7, the 7th camp out. It's crazy. It's hard to think it's been that long so far. But going back to more or less the essence of what it was created for, what it started as, we want to focus on creating more and more relationships, friendships. As always, the camp out is an opportunity for you to ride your bike, get out of your comfort zone, get out of that bar hopping thing that tends to happen. It tends to be a phase in a lot of motorcyclists. To get out of that, to cross a state line, getting people together to meet each other, make friends, make connections, plan bigger things because you've now got a bigger network of people that you can go see throughout the country. Hopefully we'll see you guys at the K River Campground in Moyers, Oklahoma, May 2nd through the 5th, and I hope to see you there, and you're really not gonna wanna miss this one. So as we wrap up this video, guys, please check out our podcast. So I went through the entire 350 episodes and made playlists based on what type of podcast, with a photographer, a custom painter, a fabricator, a brand, if the podcast is more about motorcycle travel. I went through and made all these playlists so that you can find the type of podcast for the vibe that you're looking for at the moment. So check that out on this channel where you're watching this. There's 350 plus episodes of really good podcasts, some not so good, but most of them are good. So if you like this stuff, please subscribe to the channel. Please like this video and any other ones that you see that you dig. And I can't thank you enough for being here with us in 2024. And I'm looking forward to all the cool shit we get to do this year. So, all right. I now need like a tagline, like, I don't know. We'll see you guys later.